a $10 billion solar cell manufacturing facility in Fort Bend County. We'll discuss this and more. Today's top headlines. I'm Ernie Manous.
And I'm guest host Holland Vavra. Why are some Houston traffic stops lasting hours, and what does that reveal about HPD's role in federal immigration enforcement? Houston Chronicle reporters Sam González Kelly and Matt deGrood join us to explain.
Plus, how do you turn growing up in Humble, family stories, and years of grinding on the comedy circuit into a standing ovation from Simon Cowell? Comedian Cris Sosa joins us to talk all things America's Got Talent.
And as always, we want to hear from you. Give us a call or text us at 713-440-8870.
Hello, Houston is made possible in part by founding sponsors John Bradshaw and Kathy Sanders, and by gifts from listeners like you.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Kristen Wright. The latest round of primaries includes several closely watched races ahead of the midterm elections. In Wisconsin, a moderate edged out a Democratic socialist for the Democratic nomination for governor. David Crowley received a late endorsement from the outgoing governor. Mayan Silver from member station WUWM reports.
Polls were showing progressive Francesca Hong up by double digits in the days and weeks before the primary. That's despite an endorsement from Wisconsin's Democratic Governor Tony Evers for her main opponent, moderate David Crowley. But the margins were narrower than anyone imagined, bobbing up and down by tenths of percentage points. Some Democrats had concerns about her comments years ago about defunding the police and canceling Thanksgiving, which she's since backed away from. Crowley will face Congressman Tom Tiffany, who's backed by Trump, in the general election. He won the Republican primary handily. For NPR News, I'm Mayan Silver in Madison.
In South Carolina's primary, Darlene Graham will advance to a special runoff election later this month to replace her late brother on the ballot for U.S. Senate in November. Graham was appointed to finish Senator Lindsey Graham's term after he died last month. She'll face Representative Ralph Norman in the runoff in about 2 weeks. President Trump says he was following recommendations from the Secret Service when he departed the NATO summit in Turkey aboard a decoy plane instead of Air Force One last month. NPR's Deepa Shivaram reports.
It's extremely unusual that the president travels on a plane separate from the traveling press corps. But when leaving Turkey in July, Trump secretly boarded a smaller plane.
I go by Secret Service and the military. They wanted me to go on a different flight, a different plane, equal safety, but they wanted me to do it, so I do it. I do what they say.
The president spoke about the incident for the first time after the Washington Post broke the news Monday night, saying the plane swap was due to a threat on Trump's life from Iran. Deepa Shivaram, NPR News, the White House.
Rescue teams are still searching for signs of life in the rubble in western Colombia. A magnitude 7.4 earthquake struck on Monday, killing at least 180 people. John Otis reports from Cali, one of the hardest hit cities.
I came across a pair of 5-story apartments that had been absolutely flattened. Henry Granja, who lives a few blocks away, happened to be right outside the buildings when the earthquake struck. So he's saying, suddenly the buildings just collapsed. I saw them fall down. My lifetime neighbors and friends were inside, but there was so much dust and debris that I didn't even know where to start looking for them.
You're listening to NPR News from Washington.
Live from News 88.7 in Houston, I'm Tom Perumian. League City voters will give input in November on whether or not they think the city should continue using flock cameras, which automatically read license plates to assist in police investigations. But the public vote won't be binding. City officials will use public input from the ballots to ultimately decide the fate of the cameras. League City Council unanimously decided to add the non-binding referendum to November ballots at last night's council meeting. Former Brazoria County Deputy Kevin Daniel Tippett has been charged with aggravated assault by a deputy. Attorney Charles Adams represents the family of victim John Mendoza Jr. Adams explains why the Brazoria County District Attorney Thomas Selleck chose this charge.
most importantly, allows him to pursue this using the culpable mental state of reckless, which is not available under a murder charge in Texas. In Texas, you have to show either intentional or knowing conduct, not intending to murder, but intending to commit the underlying assault that led to the death.
John Mendoza Jr. was shot and killed in the garage of his family's home June 1st by Deputy Tippett. Tippett has been fired by the Sheriff's Department and turned himself into the Brazoria County Jail on Tuesday. In sports, the Astros lose 4-1 to the Giants in San Francisco last night. They also lose Jose Altuve to a foot injury. Tonight's getaway game starts this afternoon at 4:45. Checking your weather, a 20% chance of afternoon showers and thunderstorms. Otherwise, mostly sunny today with a high near 95. Tonight, mostly clear with a low around 80. And on Wednesday, it'll be mostly sunny with a high near 95 and a heat index as high as 106. Right now, it's partly cloudy, 90 degrees on the UH campus. Get more news and information. Go to HoustonPublicMedia.org. I'm Tom Perumian. News 88.7.
Support for NPR comes from Schwab, offering the Schwab Teen Investor Account, where teens can gain hands-on investing experience. It's co-owned by parents and teens, so parents can monitor the account while teens learn how to invest. More at schwab.com. This is NPR.
From Houston Public Media and News 88.7, it's Hello Houston, an open forum on today's biggest stories affecting Houston and beyond. Call now, 713-440-8870, or let us know your thoughts on today's topics by emailing us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now, Hello Houston.
Hello there, Houston, and happy Wednesday. Made it to the middle of the week. Not much more to go. 2 more days, but you know who I get to spend today with? She's an actress, been around town for a good clip here, doing a lot of wonderful work. Just celebrated doing 30 shows at Stages Theater.
23 years and 30 shows.
That's insane.
And you were there for the last one.
Or at least the most recent one.
The most recent one. The last night of the show,
Holland Vavra is with us in the studio today. Such a joy. You're currently also in Mean Girls.
Yeah, I am.
Out at Queensberry. And I have to tell you, I saw it Saturday night. You are such a joy on stage to watch. And I can tell me if I'm wrong here or not, but everyone in that cast is having a great time.
They really are.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's, I think, a big part of it. You can see wonderful shows and you can see people doing wonderful work. There's something different when they're enjoying it.
Yeah, and the music is so fun and so it's fast and it has a tone to it that makes you kind of just move with it a little bit. But I've noticed even some musicals tend to have music that has no real melody. This one does. Like, I sing these songs. I'm not even singing these songs. Yeah. But I will leave the theater kind of humming these things, and that's indicative of a good musical, I think.
Yeah. Can I give a little spoiler about your performance?
You can give all the spoilers you want, Ernie.
The spoiler is you don't play one role. You don't play 2 roles. You play 3 roles in the show. And the reason I bring that up is I honestly believe there were people in the audience on Saturday night who did not realize you played all 3 of those roles.
No.
2 of them, I could see them. The 2 moms, I could see
yes.
a little, maybe they get that. When you come out as a teacher, it's so different of a presentation, of a person. Your
My voice is lower.
You know, you're different. I don't know how you do it. It's
Neither do I. Oh. It's just being, having good direction and doing what I internally know, I guess, which is sometimes a detriment to myself. But in this case, I'm just having fun with whatever was given to me.
Okay, something else you do, which I'm fascinated by, is you do cruise ships.
I do.
You perform on cruise ships. And I always wonder, how do you do it? How do you have a life and work on a cruise ship?
You don't. Oh. So
end of conversation.
If you do it, like if you do it, some of my dearest friends do it constantly, thankfully. And it's a really good gig because you can choose which ones you want to go on. And so I can, I'm going to do a show in town. I won't take that ship. So I get to choose it all. And they're for a week at best. And sometimes they're a little bit longer. But yeah, it's a really good gig because I only perform really only one day.
Oh, and you get to go on the whole cruise?
Yeah.
See, a friend of mine was a magician, one of the headlining magicians on a cruise ship,
Mm-hmm.
and they would fly him to the ship, and then he would do his show, and the next morning they would fly him back.
I think I know a couple of people that do that
seems
as
like
well.
a nightmare.
It does. I'll tell you, I wish I left from Galveston, though.
Oh,
so
you
I
don't
could
leave
just be
Galveston
no,
ships?
because I'm with Celebrity and with Holland America. Holland America is who I have next
Oh,
year.
'cause
Can't
you're
write that.
Holland?
Oh, thank you for joining my cruise ship. Thank you for your patronage and buying all of these really expensive things. It's
I'm Holland.
goes Holland's on Holland. Yes, starting January of next year, Holland's on Holland. Yeah, I think that's my agent was like, "What do you mean you've never been on Holland America before?" I was like, "Well, y'all haven't put me on Holland America before."
Well, that's been done. You know where you are today? You're on Hello Houston.
I'm on Hello Houston.
Or Holland Houston. We can change the name.
Yeah.
Or Hello Holland.
Hello Holland.
There we go. We've got a full show, not just talking about Holland and what Holland does.
Thank you.
We have lots of other things coming in on today's show. We're going to be talking about a report that came out with the Houston Chronicle about the interaction between Houston Police Department and ICE. There was a lot of talk about that. There have been citywide ordinances passed about it and what should happen and what doesn't. What's the reality of what's happening in those situations? We are also going to have Judge Lina Hidalgo is going to be here in the second hour. We're looking forward to talking with her about what's going on in Commissioner's Court these days in Harris County. In addition, you're not the only celebrity on the show today.
Celebrity, shame on
We
you.
have got folks representing HGTV and America's Got Talent. That's all coming up in the hour. But first, we always like to start with the headlines of the day. Holland, take us into our first story.
Oh, thank you, Ernie. So Tesla is considering a major expansion in the Houston area, with the company proposing a $10 billion solar cell manufacturing facility in Fort Bend County. Now, Tesla has applied for school district tax abatements with the project's proposed location in the Lamar CISD area, one of the region's fastest growing districts. The company says the project would represent more than $10 billion in investment and create over 1,100 construction jobs. And if approved, the plant could begin operations as soon as 2029. Seems a bit long away, but that's not that long away now. Tesla says Texas is competing with at least one other state for that project, and company officials argue the tax incentives would help make Fort Bend County the more attractive option. Now, if selected, the facility could strengthen the Houston area's role in domestic solar manufacturing while bringing billions in new investments.
So what are your thoughts? Call or text us, 713-440-8870. I don't know enough about the industry to know what the downside is of it. I think bringing in more manufacturing, bringing in a business that's going to generate a lot of income, could generate a lot of jobs. Go team. I'm always concerned with the tax abatement, what kind of benefits you get for doing that. And I need to see a balance. I need to understand what we gain and what we lose in this.
And for the people over there that live in that area, how that's going to directly affect them. If it's positive, if it's negative. It's in the Brookshire area. So it's really, I'm curious to know how they feel about it.
Well, you
More
know
than
how
anything.
we can find out. Give us a call, 713-440-8870. Is this kind of development you want to see in your area? Do you think that the school district tax abatements should apply here, the tax abatements? Let us know. We're curious to see what you think. And also, I'm curious, does it make a difference to you because it's Tesla? That's the thing. Does that taint the deal for some of you? Or do you see it as that's a really positive, great thing because it looks like a company that continues to grow, continues to build, has got a good chunk of the market share, and maybe that's good for the area?
Yeah, it's one of those contentious subjects for a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, we want to know what you think. Let us know. Share with us. Give us a call. 713-440-8870. I want to go on to another story that's been with me and continue to share with us on that one. But I'm fascinated by this story. When I first saw it happening, I was like, I want to talk about this one. President Trump is confirming new details about a dramatic security operation following last month's NATO summit in Turkey. The president says that the Secret Service and military ordered a last-minute plane swap because of a proposed threat, leading him to board a different aircraft after initially being seen entering Air Force One. Reports indicate U.S. intelligence had detected a credible Iranian threat, including concerns about a possible shoulder-fired missile near the summit. Trump says the alternate aircraft may actually have faced greater risk because it was the less obvious choice. Journalists and some White House staff reportedly remained unaware of the switch until later, highlighting the extraordinary lengths taken to protect the president during overseas travels. I'm going to start with what are your thoughts? 713-440-8870. What do you think about this swap? I got a lot of problems on this one.
So do I.
You start us off, Holland.
Well, I wanted to say and interject just for a second. He didn't get immediately into another aircraft. He got into a catering truck first. Unfortunately, that catering truck did not have wings, so they couldn't go very far.
So they had to take him to another plane.
Had to take him to another plane. I have a lot of personal feelings about this administration. Not great. And so call in and talk about that too, if you agree.
Well, I think my concern about all of this is the fact, and one of the really interesting parts for me as a story is I want to know how have other administrations handled similar situations. And we know there was one with Bill Clinton. Mm-hmm. You were talking about that a little earlier. But it was different. This felt very much like a bait and switch.
100%.
Now, if you have a world leader overseas and you need to safely remove them from a situation where there's a threat, I understand if you let it be known they're not going where the threateners thought they were going, well, then they're going to follow them to the other craft, other situation. My problem is, though, you still let not just reporters, which we kind of have a feeling how the administration feels about the news media, but additionally staffers of his own White House going up in this plane, in the Air Force One, which isn't Air Force One if the president isn't on it, but that's a whole other story. And it was putting all their lives at risk. And so what
likely
do you do
unbeknownst to them.
Yes.
Too.
But I mean, if you told them, would they have still gotten on the plane?
Right.
I highly doubt it. But what was the alternative? Do you say there are issues we are not leaving today, and you get the president out another way, and your pool stays behind, and then you say, okay, they're safe to fly, but the president has already left the area.
Right.
So you let it know. That would be a way to do it where you keep the safety of everybody else and still move the president. I did hear some people talking about, reporters discussing it and saying that it happened so quickly that they didn't have time to build a fuller plan out. But I don't know. I don't know what the reality and the truth behind that is. What I do know is that I feel it was terribly irresponsible for the other people involved. The optics of the president having to get into a catering truck and be moved, they have their funny level there. I understand the security. You want to keep, no matter what you think of your president, you keep the president of the United States safe.
Right.
I'm all on board on that. I don't care who it is in office. That is a position that needs to be preserved. I'll let you talk.
I've been following this too. Like you said, the irresponsibility of putting people at risk, and then him doing a gaggle on Air Force One after they literally took him from the plane, put him back on Air Force One to show that he literally was getting off Air Force One. So it just felt like a whole smoke and mirrors kind of thing. And when asked by his press pool, or just the press pool that he vehemently dislikes most of the time, he said there was no threat. He said we weren't going anywhere. If I would have closed the windows had they told me to, but I didn't close the windows. And then what really got me was him saying, if I go, you go, to one of the reporters, which he wasn't even there.
Right.
So, and basically saying he was there.
Yeah. And see, the rhetoric that surrounds it, we're learning a new way to parse what we hear from the administration in this day and age. What still bothers, and yes, you protect the president. You find a way to get him out of a situation that's a high-risk threat. We have to do that. We can't not become those people. My problem is solely with sending up that plane, nonetheless, filled with people. If they had to go to all these lengths because they thought there was a real threat, then how in good conscience did anyone approve the plane still takes off?
Absolutely.
I don't know. Anyway, 713-440-8870. I think you've gleaned what we think about that story. We'd love to hear what you think about it. But we want to go back to our story about the Elon Musk Tesla plant coming into our area. Let's go to the phone, 713-440-8870. Shamir is on the line from Richmond. What's on your mind?
Yeah. Hey, my comment was that if there's one person who doesn't need government money to make manufacturing or do anything, it's Elon Musk. I mean, by one measure, if he's not like the most richest person in the world, he's one of the most richest. And I mean, he doesn't need more of our money. I mean, if you have a business that can't be sustained without government money, then I mean, that's not a good business in the first place.
And I hear what you're saying, Shamir. My one thought on that is, though, you have to, yes, I agree with you. You know, when you can turn a profit at the level that these things have turned profits, do you need government support financially? I don't agree with that. But what I do look at is the fact, if it could bring in this many jobs to our area and we make our area less attractive than another area so that those jobs then go somewhere else, there is a balance you've got to find in that, I think. Not that I agree with it, but I understand how the game is played enough to think, what do we need to do to secure these? Now, there are things that come into this area that go very long periods of time without paying their rightful taxes or what seem rightful in taxes, and I think we need to re-examine what kind of offers we make. Shamir, thank you very much for calling and sharing that with us. Dale is on the line from Sugarland. Dale, what are you thinking?
Hey, hello. I was going to comment about the anyway, I heard you talking while I was holding about the tax abatement and the Tesla plant. I think it's a great idea. Need a plant, build something good. Now, if you build a $10 billion plant and you give it a 2% property tax rate, that will be about $200, maybe $20 million a year that would come to Lamar CISD as additional income. However, they probably never see it under the Robin Hood plan that will all go to the state.
Mm-hmm.
So in the end, Lamar's not giving up anything in the tax abatement. It's the state of Texas that's giving it up. And Abbott says he's going to check into this thing quite a bit. So we'll see how this plays out. Because Abbott recently said he didn't like all the data centers, especially wanted to look into the tax breaks they were getting, because he knew that the tax breaks were going to be paid by the state, not by the local area. Now, lastly, in Trump's defense, he didn't want to get on the other plane. What I heard was that they had to lure him into the catering truck with a case of Twinkies. And that's
Dale. We have a comedian coming up later in the show. I hope you'll join us for that, too. Thank you for calling and sharing with us. I just want to make a point about this conversation is that the company is a solar cell manufacturing facility, not a data center, as I understand it, just to be clear on that. 713-440-8870. Let's see what Anthony from Montrose thinks about all of this. Anthony, what's on your mind?
Yeah, hi. I personally really disagree with the tax exemptions. I think this is how these very bloated large companies with all this money avoid putting back into the communities that they're I'm a business owner and I pay those taxes. I just don't understand why they're always given these exemptions, these very large corporations that, I think they could give more back than what they are.
Anthony, do you think if they didn't give these benefits, these tax exemption things to these companies, they would still come to our area?
I mean, I don't know. I wonder, did Daikin plant get an exemption? I don't actually know what companies are getting exemptions. I think that maybe we're not as informed as a public as to what kind of exemptions are being given out.
You know, Anthony, that's a good point. I think we should do a segment on this show and take a little deeper look in how those are decided and who gets them and who doesn't. And thank you for calling and sharing with us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. Remember, we're always interested in what you think, what you feel, and your opinion on the topics we talk about. And also, we invite you to join into the conversations we have with our guests, like what's coming up next, where we're going to take a look at a report from the Houston Chronicle on HPD's cooperation with ICE. Remember, you can always call or text us 713-440-8870. This is Hello Houston on News 88.7.
Meet Tio Choco. We just took his keys for the day and gave him a Ride Metro fare card. This is his story. Visit ridemetro.org/Choco to find out where is Choco.
Tariffs. Is America's global dominance over? We talk with Evan Osnos about his latest New Yorker article. Join us.
You can listen to Fresh Air. It's coming up tonight at 8
Houston
o'clock.
Matters is your essential daily guide to the people, places, issues, and ideas that define Greater Houston.
Vulnerable households that have less of a means to recover from a flood, have less money to do it, are concentrated in the highest flood risk neighborhoods.
There's never going to be a perfect moment to come out or reveal something about yourself. There's never going to be a perfect moment to call somebody you haven't spoken to in years. Don't wait for all the stars to align.
I'm Craig Cohen. Join us for the next Houston Matters, weekday mornings at 9 here on News 88.7.
I'm Indira Lakshmanan. We drop in on Here and Now resident chef Kathy Gunst and grill with her at home in Maine.
Okay, these are our skewers, and it's been about 3 or 4 minutes, and they are looking beautiful. Can you smell that rosemary?
That's next time on Here and Now.
You can listen to Here and Now. It's coming up today at 1.
From the ocean floor to the edge of the universe, PBS Science and Nature documentaries are here. Stream anytime on HPM Plus. Search HPM Plus on your smart and connected TVs.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from Chariot Energy, offering electricity plans backed by 100% renewable energy for Texas homes and businesses. Learn more about renewable energy options at chariotenergy.com.
And now back to Hello Houston. Comment on today's topics. Call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now, Ernie Manous and Holland Vavra.
And before we get into introducing our next guests, I want to remind everyone today is Wednesday, which means it's the Would You Rather Wednesday. If you're watching our show on YouTube, where you can very easily see what we're doing, but you can also join the chat there, where it's a very lively discussion throughout the entire show. We put up a question every Wednesday. Here's this week's Wednesday Would You Rather. Would you rather be able to talk to all animals or speak every human language? You can vote right now over on our YouTube channel, and later in the show, we'll give you the answers. We'll let you know. We'll let you know what we think, too. But right now, we've got some guests in the house. So, Holland, take them away.
Oh, that's Houston police officers have spent hours waiting for ICE agents during traffic stops involving immigrants, even after city leaders moved to limit how long officers should wait for federal agents. That's according to the recent Houston Chronicle analysis, which found that these stops can last far longer than typical traffic stops, raising questions about police resources and Houston's relationship with federal immigration enforcement. Joining us are Sam González Kelly, a demographics reporter for the Houston Chronicle, and Matt deGrood, a reporter for the Chronicle. They reported on the data and what it reveals about HPD's cooperation with ICE. Sam and Matt, welcome to Hello Houston.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Yeah. All right, let's start with, and I mean, we do this show every day, and we've been following a lot of the stories related to this, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know where the city sits right now on the interaction between the police and ICE. I remember the 30 minutes, I remember the blocking of that, I remember conversation about where as a city right now, policy-wise, are we actually in this?
So, yeah, it's fair to be confused. There's a lot that happened. I confused me. Right now, the only change that took effect from the ordinance that was passed was...
And the ordinance was?
That was council's attempt to sort of rein in how much police were cooperating with ICE.
And if I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong here, they could wait up to 30 minutes for ICE to come. If ICE did not come, they moved on.
Yes.
Okay, that was the ordinance.
Right? Well, no. So sorry. Mayor Whitmire, as this was becoming a sort of heated topic in the city, tried to institute limit, and it was a 30-minute limit.
Okay.
That was not in effect for too terribly long, I think a couple weeks.
And then what was the ordinance then did?
Then the ordinance just made explicitly clear that an officer could only detain someone so long as, like, if
it
a
would
person
traditionally
ran,
take for
yeah,
that stop.
That's correct.
And then where are we at?
And now we are, for the most part, back to where we were at the beginning, which is when an officer pulls somebody over, they come across somebody with an administrative warrant, they're supposed to call ICE and wait, quote, a reasonable amount of time for an ICE agent to show up, or say, sometimes they just say, we don't have the resources, you can let them go. Like, it differs from call to call, but I think sticking point is a reasonable amount of time. Like, what does that mean?
And now your study, your research has shown what is practically happening out there in the field.
Yeah, that there is no set, defined time span for what a reasonable amount of time is. That it can vary extremely widely based on, any number of circumstances.
So what are you finding is I hate to use the word average, but the range of times you're seeing, or the area where it concerns you the most?
Yeah, so half of these administrative warrants, more than half, are discovered during, routine traffic stops, like if someone runs a stop sign or changes a lane without putting their blinker on. And these calls are tying up officers for an average of about 2 hours. That does not always mean that someone is necessarily being detained for 2 hours, but that is how HPD logs, the time from when they respond to the time that they mark that call as, being done. The average is about 2 hours on these traffic stops where an administrative warrant is found. Whereas, we also gathered weeks worth of data for just all calls for service.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. How long is that usually?
Right. So like a regular traffic stop that, doesn't involve any kind of immigration warrant, I believe the average for that was about 18 minutes.
Wow. Yeah. So to help put it in perspective, what does that mean when a police officer police officer is tied up for 2 hours in one moment as opposed to a regular 18-minute stop?
Suppose it means they're indisposed. They're not available to help on other calls for service. Yeah.
I have a question for you. For some people who don't follow this that much nationally, when if it's a traffic stop, and you're saying regular traffic stop, is an administrative warrant in effect for anybody who does get stopped?
No, administrative warrants are internal warrants issued by ICE for non-criminal immigration violations. So, like, if someone was handed a deportation order however many years ago and didn't, leave the country, that would be an administrative warrant. But these warrants are issued by ICE officers. They're not signed by a judge the way that, a criminal warrant that, HPD would normally be involved with is. Yeah, these are just ICE documents.
Are there other types of administrative warrants?
There are other types of civil warrants. Because, the issue is if a cop pulls somebody over and they have some sort of warrant from Washington State on another, criminal charge.
Right.
Typically, they just book that person in the jail, notify, whatever other agency, hey, we came across so-and-so.
You threw in, though, the word criminal. Administrative warrants, though, aren't criminal, correct?
That's correct.
So what my question, I guess, is, are there other types of administrative warrants? And if police pull you over for some infraction and there is an administrative warrant outside of an immigration ICE one, do they still have do they still have to reach out to anyone? Or if it's an administrative warrant, is like, okay, you're on your way. I'm only worried about the criminal infraction.
That's a great question. I'm not personally familiar with other kinds of administrative warrants beyond, the ones that are immigration related. I don't know if you know better than I.
Yeah, I don't have a direct answer to that question. I mean, there are other...
Right, you're not in here as our legal experts today. I do want to make that clear.
Sure.
So.
I mean, there are other civil cases where, the cops can't arrest somebody for, like tax fraud or something along
right.
those
That's
lines.
what I'm thinking. So if there's a mark on your record that isn't criminal, the police, as far as I understand, don't do anything about that. But in these cases, they have been told they must report this through. So the police are interfering in something that isn't seen as criminal behavior. So anyway, just trying to clarify.
No, that sounds about right. Yeah.
People need to understand the landscape before they can understand the issues that come from it.
Yeah.
Correct. I agree. Now we're speaking with reporters Sam González Kelly and Matt deGrood of the Houston Chronicle about HPD's recent cooperation with federal immigration agents. If you'd like to join the conversation, call or text at 713-440-8870.
I'm also curious, do you notice a difference in different neighborhoods? Is there certain parts of the city where we tend to see these happening more than other parts? And yeah, I saw a facial reaction. I'll stop right there.
Well, I guess I'll say we last mapped out this data, not for this most recent story, for several months ago.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, we actually did not notice a particular cluster in the city. It seemed pretty spread out. I don't know if you have anything more current, but to my knowledge, it's been pretty spread out.
I think that's correct.
Yeah. We started this conversation with me being confused about where we're exactly at with all of that. Have you noticed that our police officers or even ICE immigration officers are confused about what should be happening?
Yes, I think so. There have been, last we heard, there were 17 cases where Houston police officers directly transported people to ICE agents, which isn't permissible under the city's rules.
Yeah, I think we should also, to get back to the definition of administrative warrant, I think a big part of the confusion is that at the beginning of the Trump administration, they added hundreds of thousands of these administrative warrants into the national crime database that police departments all over the country, use very routinely if they pull someone over and run their name. So I think especially initially having all of these civil warrants in a criminal database was a major source of confusion for officers because previously if they came across immigration warrants in a database like that, or if they arrested someone, booked them into the jail and found an immigration warrant, it was for some sort of criminal offense. Right. So especially at first, I think that was a major point of confusion and continues to be for,
it's taken a detour
for lots of people.
From where it initially started, definitely. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do we have a point of reference in how maybe other areas, other cities, other states are handling similar situations, or is this unique unto us?
I think there was sort of general confusion when this first happened, which is sometime early in 2025, and there were sort of national law enforcement organizations that sent out, letters to its members sort of laying out these warrants have been added to this database. Here's what we know. Here's what we don't know. Here are sort of some of the risks you might run if you run into somebody with the directing law enforcement agencies. Here's what you should do. And as a result, I think you've sort of seen Agency A take slightly different approaches to Agency B.
I just had a quick question for you. You mentioned up to 2 hours in some cases from an 18-minute typical traffic stop to 8 to 2 hours. Has there been any kind of just check on the repercussions of not having these officers where else they could be and things that have gone amiss in the community where they could be better served when these 2 hours are taking place for something like this?
I think that's an excellent question. I think that is sort of hard to quantify. It's like there are multiple trends in public safety that are kind of coalescing at the same place. Crime generally is on the decline. Calls for service are on the decline. Police response times, which is how fast they can arrive when they're called about something, are going down as a result. I mean, presumably if these officers were freed up faster, those numbers would go down even further.
Right.
But it's hard to say, what is the delta?
I feel like it probably is one of those things that just has to work itself out to find the numbers involved to be able to quantify that amount. Yeah.
Do you find that police officers have violated what are standing policy now? Basically not understanding it, not knowing it. We've talked a little bit about that. And what are the repercussions of that?
Well, the 17 cases that Matt mentioned, where officers personally, detained someone and took them to ICE instead of waiting for ICE to come to the scene. Those were pretty clear violations of policy, and I don't believe those officers were severely disciplined, right? But they were certainly the mayor. It was one of the first times that the mayor, I think seemed, to take issue with the way that officers were approaching this subject. But I think with the current policy, it's really hard to say what beyond that type of instance, what a violation would be, because the current policy is now to, hold someone for a reasonable amount of time. For the purposes, I believe the language is for the purposes of a traffic stop, or quote unquote other legitimate purposes discovered during the stop. So it's very broad, and I think makes it hard to definitively say that someone is violating this policy.
We had a text that came in, and the question from our listener was, why are these called warrants at all? They're not issued and signed by a judge. Any looking into that? Do we know?
I mean, these have existed for some time. Prior to this administration. That's a good question. I think it's one of those things that's just the way it's been described for a long time.
These warrants do give ICE the authority to, even before the current administration, these warrants would give ICE agents the ability to detain someone, but they did not confer that authority to other police departments, and that's where kind of the sticking point with HPD and other local police departments comes in.
Gentlemen, thank you for shining a light on this particular aspect of this story, which continues to evolve and concern all the people in our area as we see what's happening on the ground here. Thank you for coming in and talking with us.
Thank you.
It's Sam González Kelly and Matt deGrood, who are reporters from the Houston Chronicle. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, it's time to put on our comedy. Yep, America's Got Talent contestant from this area is going to be joining us right after the break.
Meet Damola, songwriter, world-class violinist, and award-winning multi-genre artist. We just took his keys for the day and gave him a Ride Metro fare card. Visit ridemetro.org/Damola to learn more about his ride.
Really judging me, though.
They sniffed it out. They sniffed out that I was weird.
I was like, I don't know where I'm going to sit, just like in the movies.
Listen, learn, laugh. Bullseye from Maximum Fun and NPR.
Bullseye, Thursdays at 10 p.m. on News 88.7.
Actually buying a home is out of reach for a whole lot of people right now. But what if there was a way you could get most of the way there without buying the whole house?
About 20% of people today co-buy a property with someone that's not their immediate spouse.
I'm Kai Risdall, fractional home ownership gang. We'll tell you more next time on Marketplace.
You can listen to Marketplace. It's coming up tonight at 6:30.
This week on This American Life. Imagine if that's how you felt about your job and that this guy was your boss.
Today I don't feel like riding any rides.
This, by the way, is a staff meeting.
I just want to play all the games.
We go behind the scenes at an amusement park and meet the guy singing this song who is possibly better suited for his job than anyone I have ever met this week.
Just playing games.
It's coming up tonight at 10 p.m.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from Alley Theater, celebrating its 80th season with classics, new works, and audience favorites, including Romeo and Juliet and A Christmas Carol. Season information and tickets at alleytheater.org.
Support comes from Belmont Village Senior Living, committed to enriching the lives of seniors through hospitality, engaging programs, and custom care that evolves with changing needs. Serving Houston and West University and Hunters Creek. More at belmontvillage.com/Houston.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now, Ernie Manous and Holland Vavra.
Hi, making people laugh is never easy, but doing it in front of celebrity judges and millions of viewers takes it to another level. A Houston native and comedian, Cris Sosa, is taking his comedy to the national stage as a contestant on America's Got Talent, bringing his quick wit and relatable stories to audiences across the country. He joins us now to talk about his journey. Is Cris Sosa. Welcome to Hello Houston.
Hello. Thank y'all so much for having me. Thank you.
It is great to have you with us. I think anytime you get up in front of an audience and have the job of trying to make them laugh can always be daunting. How different is it standing up before those judges and trying to do the same thing?
Oh, man, I try my best to not even look at them.
Really?
I'm performing in front of Mel B and Sofia Vergara. Like, if I look, I'm going to melt. I'm going to flip over my words. So I just try my best to, and I love an audience. I love the people. So I just looked at them. That was my comfort zone. That was my home for me. So if I looked at the judges, it would remind me that I'm on a competition,
Yeah. We've had other folks. I know folks who have been on America's Got Talent, and they've told their experience and their journeys and their stories of even how slightly different reality is than actually what you see on television. But a question I don't think I've ever asked, and I'm really curious if you can help me through all of this, is as a comedian, when you build the routine you're using for your audition, I'm assuming you have to think, I've got to put my best foot forward because I want to get through. But there may also be a part of you that's thinking, I can't use every great joke I have because I may need that down the road if I go through. How do you make the balance and decide what is the right audition without giving it all away?
Oh, man, that has been the toughest obstacle, challenges to do because you're right. How do you choose it? And I genuinely just take it show individually, show by show, because I sometimes think that will work later on, but the advice, even Nikki Glaser said it on last night's episode, the callbacks. I've gotten advice from other colleagues who are on America's Got Talent, and they mentioned don't worry about the future. Do your best material for this specific night. Take each show as they come. So I'm just trying to go one show at a time. We're now going to the live shows. I'm going to be on the first round of live shows. So next week, next Tuesday, August 18th, I will be on live. And I've already, as much as I love the love and the celebration, especially coming from my hometown in Houston, and my, folks out here in New York, it's been a lot of love, but I'm locked in, I'm focused, and I'm ready to, get on stage for next Tuesday.
But we'll move on from this in a second, but I want to stay with this a moment longer, because what a lot of people don't understand about what you do, what comedians do, is you hone your 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 7 minute act over a long period of time, workshopping jokes, getting them to the hits at the right moment and all of that. So when they give you advice like, well, just put your best stuff forward, don't worry about the future, it sounds great, but I still don't think you can just say, yeah, I'll just do my best right now, because you don't have weeks, months to hone a new routine.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And like I said, that has been the biggest challenge. But to me, I just think about the material that has hit over the years, and now, like, and you know, and sending and understanding too, like the material that's going to be for, you know, America to see. You know, like I want to talk about stuff that people can relate to, people who look like me and sound like me, and you know, can relate from coming from the same, you know, town as me, or maybe the same upbringing. I want to bring relatability, but also, you know, still being unique and authentic to my material. So that's the best that I can do with like choosing my materials, like what's going to be the greatest, like the best relatable.
So it can't all be about Humble.
Yeah. And as much as I love to talk about Humble, because I'm very proud to be from Humble, Texas, and it's pronounced Humble.
It is
A
pronounced
lot of people
Humble.
who come out from outside, they say, "Oh, we're in Humble, Texas." I said, "No, sir.
No,
you're not."
It's nice to meet you,
Humble,
Chris.
Texas.
I'm actually from Kingwood, so I claim Humble as well. It's actually we're neighbors. We are. I'm curious. Watched your segment on the show. What was going through your head when you heard belly laughs coming from Mel B and getting these standing ovations, like that? What was going on in your head? I'm a performer too, and I can't even imagine being on a having that vehicle of a show of that magnitude of doing that. Like, what on earth was going through your head at that moment?
Oh man, it was so, I mean, it was like an ecstasy. It was so like a blur. Like it was like, what is happening right now? Like when they all stood up, when I saw the standing ovation, I was like, oh my God. Okay.
So at that point, you noticed the judges. The other time you were ignoring them.
Yeah, right. When I saw the judges stand up along with the audience, I was like, oh man, I did it. Like, I just felt so, like all of the work, all of the reps, everything that I put into, like, I didn't want to overthink, you know, that this is on a big platform and this is, you know, global and all these things, because that would just be in my head. I worked so hard on my set, on every word counts, and delivery and all that. So I was prepared to do my set. I was more nervous about the questions that they were asking me at the top, like, where am I from and what's my dream and all that stuff. Like, I didn't know what was going to come out of me, but I just wanted to be as present as possible. And then when Mel B saying like, oh, you gave me that proper belly laugh, I was like, thank you. And then Sophia being, I'm so proud to see a Latino guy be on stage and be funny. I'm like, Sophia really has that accent. It's beautiful. So it was awesome. And then to get the stamp from Simon, like Simon doesn't really, like, you know what I mean? He's a hard critique. So especially with comedy, you know, so for him to really give me that stamp of approval, and of course, Howie being, you know, the legend that he is and being the comedian of the judges, it's always validating to get that, you know, affirmation from a comic himself.
What I always watch when I see a new comedian, an established comedian, is their writing skill, how they write a joke, and how they find the economy of words is what I often think about, that a joke has to hit quickly, it has to hit right, and all of that. And I'm curious, who were your idols growing up? Who were the comic gods that you looked to, that you've appreciated what they did?
Yes. Jim Carrey was a big one, is a big goat of mine. John Leguizamo, George Lopez, Jamie Foxx, Martin Lawrence, Eddie Murphy, Dane Cook. These are people who all, in very similar ways, very animated, act out heavy, also went from the stage to the big screen, similar formats of, like, you know, the route of comedy, but then also it has you expand to doing TV shows and movies. So I love all of them. Those are my guys.
Yeah. Is it hard to idolize a comedian, to follow a comedian, to be a fan of a comedian, and not let that change how you do what you do?
Yeah, because especially in your early years of doing stand-up comedy, you're trying to find your voice. I didn't even know what that meant when comedians were saying that, like, you got to find your voice, which ultimately means getting as close as possible and just absolutely being yourself when you're on that stage. You don't sound like a Dane Cook, or you're not delivering a joke like a Eddie Murphy or all these things. So it can be a little tough. I say in the beginning, just be a sponge, be a student. I mean, I'm still a student of the game, but absorb as much material just to know what's out there and do your research and know, what jokes are like, learn the formula, learn about what a premise is and a setup and a punchline, all these things. Just be on stage as much as possible, because that will get you quicker to being the person that you are off stage. You want to be the person that's like, people want to get on the stage or like watch you on stage seeing like, oh, this reminds me of like my cousin, or he reminds me of my friend, because it's like a human being, it doesn't remind you of another comedian.
We are speaking with Cris Sosa, Houston, Humble native, comedian, and America's Got Talent contestant. If you would like to join the conversation, call or text 713-440-8870.
I want to know about your learning to dance. That routine is, you talk about moving around on the stage and all that. That's not a routine that would work if you stood still. But really clever. I'm curious how much of these stories you tell. I know that the routine is, these are my family members and this is what they taught me. How much of this is real life for you, and how much was a bit embellishment?
Oh, man. I wish it was embellishment. It's super real, man. My dad gave me that advice when I was young. I remember I was like 10 or 11 years old. And my dad, because, at family parties, especially like at my grandmother's house, like a lot of the parties would be a lot of dancing going on. So if I just wanted to get a snack from the kitchen, I had to walk through the living room of dancers. And so I was going to get grabbed. I was going to get grabbed from my grandmother, and now she's spinning me around, and my aunt, and like all these people. And so I finally was like, yo, Dad, like I don't really know how to dance. Like, how do we do that? And he was just like, Papi, it's like, all you need to do is give yourself a wedgie and take it out with no hands. And when I thought about it, I was like, oh, and it kind of gave me that little like, all right. Like I had that understanding of like, okay, now I know how to break it down, just move my hips, So yeah, that, and I guess in the case of like embellishment, I really want to make sure I'm performing for the very last person at the last seat at the top. Like that comes from a theater background. Like, yeah, I want to be able to have somebody from every seat and every angle to capture this moment and understand with the movement.
A couple questions have come in from our social media. One user wants to know, will Cris Sosa do Spanish comedy shows?
Oh my gosh. Ay, Dios mío.
Are you really that?
Man, you know what? That would be really cool. That would be really cool. Like an awesome achievement. It would be an ultimate challenge, that for sure. I've been asked, I'm here in New York, so there's a lot of Spanish shows that happen in New York. And I've been asked if I wanted to be on it. I'm like, guys, I really don't speak Spanish like that. Like, and that would be the joke. Like my set would just be like, they would be laughing at me, that I can't really speak Spanish. But
right now,
yeah, I'll try.
Right now, you've got them laughing with you, which is what's so important. And congratulations on your successes. Starting next week, we can see how you'll do in the live rounds. Folks can go on YouTube and see a lot of your routines. Plus, they can see the back things you've done on America's Got Talent. Cris, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate y'all. Hello, Houston. Much love. And y'all can check me out next week. Next Tuesday, vote for me. Vote for Cris Sosa.
Do that. Cris Sosa is a Houston native comedian and America's Got Talent contestant. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more Hello Houston.
Stay tuned. There's more Hello Houston on the way. For the latest in local news, subscribe to the Hello Houston daily newsletter at houstonpublicmedia.org. Hello Houston is a production of Houston Public Media. The opinions expressed by the guests of this program are solely their own and do not represent the views of management, staff, or underwriters of Houston Public Media. This is News 88.7.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from listeners like you and from Baylor College of Medicine. With over 125 years of innovation behind it, Baylor has driven progress in health and medicine through research, education, and care that push the frontiers of modern science.
We have a hot day ahead of us, a high 95. Heat index as high as 108. A slight chance of rain, 91 degrees, and this is your NPR station, KUHF. Houston. News 88.7, a service of the University of Houston. It's 12 o'clock.
Just ahead on this hour of Hello Houston, Harris County Commissioners Thursday denied Harris County Judge Lina Hidalgo's second attempt at a proposed tax rate increase to fund early child care programs. The judge will join us to discuss. I'm Ernie Manous.
And I'm guest host Holland Vavra. Can protecting the Texas coast create jobs and boost tourism too? Jim Blackburn explains the decades-long idea that's now headed to Congress.
Plus, what do llamas, ghosts, and a professional mermaid have in common? Houston realtor and HGTV host Noel Collier helps them all find a place to call home.
Also, we want to hear from you. Give us a call or text us at 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org.
Hello Houston is made possible in part by founding sponsors John Bradshaw and Kathy Sanders and by gifts from listeners like you.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Kristen Wright. Inflation cooled a bit last month as gas and grocery prices fell. NPR's Scott Horsley reports on the latest cost of living figures from the Labor Department.
Consumer prices in July were up 3.4% from a year ago. That's a slightly smaller annual increase than the month before. Prices rose just 0.1% between June and July. Rising rents and airfares during the month were partially offset by falling prices for gasoline and groceries. Gasoline prices are still much higher than they were a year ago. Electricity prices are also climbing faster than overall inflation. Stripping out volatile food and energy prices, core inflation was 2.5% over the last 12 months. Easing inflation will be welcome news for the Federal Reserve. The central bank has promised to bring price hikes under control. Scott Horsley, NPR News, Washington.
The results of the latest round of primary elections are mixed. In Minnesota, Democrats back the more progressive candidate in the U.S. Senate race. Clay Masters from Minnesota Public Radio says immigration has been a key issue there.
The state's Lieutenant Governor, Peggy Flanagan, she won. The race between her and Congresswoman Angie Craig was really centered around President Trump's immigration crackdown this past winter here. That's what you heard a lot from in the ads. There was, more than 3,000 federal agents that aimed at deporting undocumented immigrants that came to the state last winter, ultimately led to the fatal shootings of Renee Good and Alex Preddy. Flanagan recently regularly really went after Craig during the primary for a vote she made in Congress backing a GOP-backed immigration bill. Craig said she regretted that vote.
Flanagan will face Republican and former sports journalist Michelle Tafoya in November. If elected, Flanagan would be the first Native American woman to serve in the Senate. President Trump took a secret flight out of Turkey last month after Israel warned the U.S. of an Iranian threat against Air Force One. NPR's Daniel Estrin reports that's according to a person familiar with the matter.
Israel had intelligence of a possible threat of Iranian missiles toward Air Force One and shared that intelligence with the U.S., according to a person briefed on the matter, not authorized to speak publicly. The warning prompted Trump to be secretly flown out of Turkey on a different plane. Air Force One flew separately. That news was first reported by the Washington Post. When asked about it late Tuesday, Trump said he was following instructions from the Secret Service. This comes amid rising tensions between the U.S. and Iran, with no progress toward reopening the Strait of Hormuz. Daniel Estrin, NPR News, Tel Aviv.
The death toll from Monday's earthquake in Colombia has risen to more than 250 people. You're listening to NPR News from Washington.
Support for NPR.
Europe.
Live from News 88.7 in Houston, I'm Tom Perumian. Houston police are investigating this morning after a man was shot multiple times while enjoying a night out with his girlfriend. This happened in southeast Houston in the neighborhood off Fuqua Street. KHOU-TV reports that 5 people wearing masks came at them, one of them carrying a rifle. Police say around 20 shots were fired after an argument before the suspects ran off. The man was hit in 3 different parts of his body but is expected to survive. Police are looking for the suspects. Local political science experts are not putting too much stock into recent polling for the midterms, despite trends showing potential trouble for Republicans. New polling from Texas A&M shows Democratic candidate for U.S. Senate James Tallarico with a slim 4-point lead over Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. It also showed Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick and Governor Abbott in very tight races this November. Nancy Sims is a political science professor at the University of Houston.
I think what we're looking at is a moment in time. Come Labor Day, we'll begin to see the electorate tune in more tightly. We'll begin to see the barrage of advertising in all the races.
Sims made her comments on Houston Matters. In sports, a bad night in Frisco for the Astros. They lose second baseman Jose Altuve to a foot injury and drop a 4-1 game to the Giants. Astros finish up the visit to the Bay City at 4:45. Taking a look at your weather, we've got a 20% chance for afternoon showers and thunderstorms. Otherwise, it'll be mostly sunny with a high near 95. Tonight, mostly clear tonight with a low around 80 degrees. On Wednesday, mostly sunny, a high near 95 again. We'll see a heat index of 106. Right now, partly cloudy, 90 degrees on the UH campus. Get more news and information. Go to HoustonPublicMedia.org. I'm Tom Perumian, News 88.7.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Fisher Investments. As a fiduciary, Fisher Investments is obligated to act in their client's interest. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com. Investing in securities involves the risk of loss. This is NPR.
From Houston Public Media and News 88.7, it's Hello Houston, an open forum on today's biggest stories affecting Houston and beyond. Call now, 713-440-8870, or let us know your thoughts on today's topics by emailing us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now, Hello Houston.
Hello there, Ernie Manous with you into the second hour of the show today, and our special guest host is actress, performer extraordinaire, Holland Vavra.
Thank you.
It's good to have you here.
Thank you. It's good to be here. This is awesome.
Made it through the first hour.
Yes.
Got you to stay for the second. You're just going to stay from now on.
Yeah.
Well, we got a really impressive second hour.
Yes.
And we're going to get right to it because our first guest is already in studio sitting right across from us. So if you take us into the headlines.
All right, I'm glad to. Commissioners on Thursday denied Harris County Judge Lina Hidalgo's second attempt as a proposed tax rate increase to fund early child care programs. The rejection came almost 1 year after the county commissioners voted against Hidalgo's first penny tax proposal and said the county judge's efforts to pass the measure to support a slate of education programs disrupted decorum, and as she brought a group of children to the meeting in 2025. The same motion failed on Thursday after the proposal by Hidalgo, a Democrat who is not seeking a third term in this year's election, did not receive a second vote.
Joining us now to discuss is actually Harris County Judge Lina Hidalgo. Welcome back to the program, Judge Hidalgo.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, for folks that didn't follow this story in the past, your proposed tax is, or proposed increase. She's giving me a finger up. I apologize for that. Explain what the policy is that you have been speaking out for and the benefit it would bring to the community from your point of view.
Right. So, to make an analogy, like if I tell you, are you deciding that your kid is going to eat spinach, yes or no? And so, then you're deciding about spinach. But if you're going to decide whether to suggest your kid that he eat spinach, that's a different thing, right? I'm proposing to you, hey, will you suggest that to your kid? Will you give your kid that option? But you're not saying yes, for sure. So anyway, this is kind of silly and trite, but the point is, I did not propose a tax increase. I never proposed a tax increase. I never proposed a penny tax in front of the commissioners. Their choice was not and never was whether or not to pass a penny tax. Their choice was simply whether to give the voters an opportunity to decide on that. So that question was the question that we were going to ask the voters, but we never got to ask it because they refused to put the question on the ballot. And so anyway, that's the first thing that I want people to understand, because if they believe that what I put in front of my colleagues was a tax increase, two things happen. Number one, the public believes that a penny tax for early childhood has been declined twice. That's not the case. Mm-hmm. It is the option of letting the voters decide. Second, the public may perhaps think, okay, it makes sense that the commissioners didn't want to vote for a tax increase. But see, that was not the case.
Right.
It does not make sense that the commissioners' court would not vote to simply put a question on the ballot and let us decide if we would want to continue funding very successful and 5 times evaluated programs.
Right. So I guess and I apologize for misstating it when I spoke a minute ago. And I guess the question then becomes, what would be the rationale that you understand of not allowing the voters to decide, which seems to be all you are asking for?
Right. And I don't know the rationale. And so I've been thinking about this a lot. And I think that what makes it even more alarming is when you put it in contrast with the other big vote that took place at this past meeting. So, we are declining to put this in front of the voters for a second time. At the same time, we are voting for a pay increase for the 8 elected constables, so that over the past 2 years, the elected constables' pay would have increased, or will have increased, by 129%. In other words, they now make $305,000 a year, which is more than Vice President Vance. So people have heard that second part. And perhaps not the first part. And so what I take from all this, of course, I'm not in their heads, but I do represent the almost 5 million people in the county. So I'm trying to figure this out. Number one, I think people need to know about these decisions, because I frankly think people would disagree with both of them. I did polling on whether people want to see early childhood on the ballot, and people want to see it. Whether they're going to vote for it or not, that's on them. I think that what we're counting on as politicians, in the way to excuse these decisions is to make a calculus that these decisions are going to help us politically. So, okay, we're going to get the support of the politically influential constables, and we're not going to get the negative side of things because the people are not paying attention to this. Mm-hmm. Same with early childhood. And so what I think is happening is there's this assumption that this is just going to go over people's heads. But I think that what we weren't counting on as politicians is that people do listen, and that we're having this opportunity because of the salary increases that are just so shocking to talk about the other things that are happening that perhaps we were assuming people would not wise up to.
Yeah. Am I correct in assuming that, or reporting that you basically were accusing the other commissioners of pay-for-play politics? And what would that term mean for you?
So then we're talking about sort of a third issue, and that's the fact that there was an audit back in 2024 that found, and this is public, it's been reported on for several years, that for decades at this point, the contracts that are let, it's hundreds of millions of dollars a year that are let for flood control projects or for engineering projects, roads, bridges, etc. Not all of them, but a huge chunk of them. Mm-hmm. They are let without a process, without any scoring committee, any scoring criteria, any conflict of interest forms. There's absolutely zero in writing. All we know when I talk to the department heads and what's in the audit is at some point somebody from the office calls the department heads and says, this is who I want. But see, at the same time, the vast majority of campaign contributions to these folks come from those same people that do business with the county. Is it illegal in Texas? No, but something doesn't have to be illegal for it to be bad, right? And so that's a completely different thing that I don't think has much to do with this, but it does fall into, I think, the category of issues that if people were aware of them, they would be saying, what in the world? And so back in 2024, there was some public attention to this, and as a commissioner's court, we voted to change the system to say, please have processes in place. But see, we did a follow-up audit and then a follow-up audit, and it's like, oh, sorry, we haven't been able to implement it because XYZ reason. So what I'm advocating for before I leave office is to have all of the contracts go back to how it was before, our predecessors changed this. No other county or city does this, is to put it back to the purchasing department, which is the independent procurement department. Of course, the colleagues say, well, they don't have the capacity, the contracts are going to be delayed, et cetera, but I think if you were to ask the public, what do you want to see? Even I think if you ask the contractors, nobody likes to be, showing up and having to give these kinds of contributions.
And I guess I ask all of these questions to point to the one fact that you are definitely not just sitting in the chair waiting for the election for the next Harris County judge. You still have an agenda. You still have work you want to get accomplished.
Yeah, I mean, and this is not new, right? Like the Early Childhood Education Initiative is something that all of us deserve credit for. I guess Commissioner Briones wasn't when we voted on this, but she's been there as the programs have been executed. Is representatives from all of our offices voted to give the early childhood portfolio I think the highest investment of all the American Rescue Plan dollars. It was over almost $130 million. And then in terms of the procurement issues, I investigated that for a while. So right now, I want the community to know what's going on. And also because some of the decisions that are made here, and we have not yet talked about the $300 million pay raise, which is different from the $305,000 pay raise. All of that, some of that has happened without even me knowing it was going to happen. And so I need that help. I know people are busy, they have their own things to do, but in order for me to help you understand what's going on and to hold us all accountable, I need people's attention, because otherwise I'm not even told that something's going to happen. I'm not even allowed to speak.
How is it that in your position you are not aware or made aware of these issues?
It's it's the counting to three piece, right? And so, we're a commissioner's court of five members. I do represent everybody in emergencies. I'm the director of emergency management. I sign on behalf of the county, et cetera. But for the policy decisions we make at commissioner's court, my vote counts just the same as the other three votes. And so when there's a faction of the county commissioner's court that believes that they have three votes, there's not an incentive to include the other two, unless the community is going to be on them if they don't find out, because if we are not included, the community by definition isn't included either. And so with the question of flock cameras and with the question of $300 million annually for other raises, a new budget item line that we cannot afford. Both of those topics just sort of came out of nowhere. Even the constable pay item last year, the item that was public for the community and for me and my other colleagues was, to discuss the pay of certain officials. Mm-hmm. Didn't say what exactly it was going to be.
To help us understand the functioning of Harris County Commissioner's Court, when you talk about that, if there are a group of commissioners who come together that make up three, can they move forward with things without them being presented before court? Can they just move forward with an issue or a topic?
So
I guess the point is, does everything have to come before court and be voted, even if they have their three votes?
Right.
They can't just run off and
do. Yes, but there's an asterisk there.
Okay.
So let's use the flock camera example. And the community's divided on that. I don't have a position myself. My position is I want us to discuss this, because I hear both sides. Mm-hmm. So some people say there's a privacy issue. These are the cameras that identify your license plates. Other people, and they show that they've been helpful in identifying criminals and solving crimes. So, it's a big debate all over the country. So we show up, there's a flock item, and I say, this item is meant to come to like the longer commissioner's court meeting. This is sort of a special meeting. I said, so that we can all discuss it. So, well, at this meeting, and you can pull the clips. At this meeting, we're not allowed to have a discussion. I'm like, well, but I gotta have a discussion. I represent all these people. So then they say, well, no, we're gonna have to keep it at this meeting, so no discussion. So I say, well, how about I make a motion to move it to the other meeting. The county attorney says, yes, okay, you can move it. So anyway, I'm not gonna tell the whole story, but the point is that there were games with the rules that govern the commissioner's court, and the result of that was that we did not have a discussion, nor did we have any kind of discussion with the public about the flock camera item until it was voted on by a majority. And so the idea that, the way they explained it, they say we're going to pass it now and then we will make some changes on the privacy piece. Well, it's been now a month or two, and we just had a question by the community yesterday. We checked, and still no changes have been made. And my sense was if you pass it first and then ask for the changes, there's not that incentive there.
To help me just clarify this a little bit, too, if I'm understanding correctly, and I'm going to use the wrong terms, I'm sure.
No, please.
But it's as though you have an agenda meeting where you decide what's going to go into a bigger meeting in front of council, and that they are, in a sense, being able to vote on an issue before it's gotten moved into this bigger meeting, and therefore that's how they're leaving you out of the discussion and the other commissioner who may not be part of that three.
That's what happened in this situation, the flock cameras, on the $300 million. And so let me just briefly back up on this, is law enforcement is not paid enough. Neither are teachers, and we can disagree on whether we think there should be more police officers. We can disagree on what kind of policing we should have. But I think the vast majority of us will agree, we need the best police officers and we need to pay them well. And so I've long been advocating for increased pay. However, the county has been at a deficit for several years. So all of a sudden, there's an item on the agenda that says, to give police officers a raise, which would cost $300 million. It's $129 million this year. Then in, I think, 3 years, that line item is going to be $300 million, so of an addition, right? So when that item comes, I thought it was symbolic because I thought we all knew we couldn't afford it. And in fact, I had talked to the police union that morning and I said, look, I'll put this on the ballot instead of early childhood. This was last year. We shook hands, And I don't know if they were surprised as I was, but I think they were, or they're great actors. So then when it came up, all of a sudden there's a motion. I think Commissioner Ramsey made the motion. Commissioner Brandis made the second. $300 million additional dollars. And we said, well, but we don't have the money. So then they made a motion to call the question. So then they didn't let us continue the discussion, even though it was at the larger court. If you make a motion that the discussion's over and that passes, and so again, there
Call
was
the question,
no.
Meaning you go to vote.
We're going to go. We're going to vote it. We're not
discussion.
going to keep talking. And so we didn't have a chance to discuss it, nor was there ever a conversation with the community. And so we're in a situation, and I promise you, I'm not exaggerating. You can talk to the budget director. You can look at the numbers yourself. We already did the Doge deal. We've been cutting. The way we're trying to patch our budget this year is by selling buildings. But we don't know if they're all going to sell the way we expect them to. And next year, we can't sell the same buildings. And so soon enough, I believe next year, we are either going to have to cut services so that we don't raise taxes or fees, or raise taxes and fees so that we don't cut services. And so that was a question I was asking the community yesterday at town hall. Is like, if you had to choose, which one would you choose? But see, that will be after the election and after I'm here. But I really want people to know about this, because not only is it unfair for them not to know, but it hurts people's trust in democracy. I mean, it does. I think it gives people icky feelings about politicians. And I think that, when I first came into office, it was as a result of that, of we're all tired of this and we need better. And so, I don't want to be a part of that sentence.
Yeah. As you are looking at the twilight of your time as Harris County judge, do you find that all of this was harder than you thought it would be? The changes you wanted to make, do you feel like you've made the progress you were hoping to make? And I know we'll have you back on before you're done with your term, but I'm just curious at this point, as you continue to have these challenges and fights within Commissioner's Court, how do you evaluate it? How are you looking at it?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not going to, like you said, I'm not just sort of sitting in the chair and waiting. So I could, right? And then we would think it was all successful and that's the end of that. So, but so we have made a lot successes. I just came back from a meeting where there was a research report of some funding, about $5 million that we gave to children who had survived domestic violence. And the evaluation was beautiful. The stories were incredible. I mean, it's just so touching. And we did that, right? And it's another one of those programs that we were hoping to continue funding with the childhood proposal. You know, it's not going to continue. But it happened. You know, with the Early Childhood Initiative, we served 97,000 children and families. So sure, they're going to lose childcare, but they had it. We have a larger commissioner's courtroom. We have a more transparent agenda. We have a more transparent budget. We have better capability to respond to emergencies, to monitor the air, better roads, better sidewalks. You know, at least there's awareness of this procurement problem. So there's a lot that we've done. You know, libraries are better than ever. Our justice system's moving faster. But, you know, yes, there has been some backtracking from what we achieved. I've never voted for a tax rate that is higher than what my predecessor had. It's always been lower. And so, we've always kept the county in a good financial situation, and so had my predecessor. So it's very disappointing for me to leave it in this situation. But that doesn't mean that there were not a lot of wins.
Yeah, they're telling me we are out of time. Last thing I'll ask you as you leave, we came in initially talking about this childhood proposal. What can listeners do to learn more about it or to talk to their commissioners? What would be their next step, do you think?
They can go to my page. It's cjo.harriscountytx.gov, CJO being County Judge's Office. And so there you can see more information about the early childhood proposal. And look, the deadline for the commissioners to allow it to go on the ballot already passed. So it's ending in December. Goodbye. However, I think that keeping attention on it is great because we have independent evaluations and we have a University of Houston study, and that means it can be brought back up. So that means that people need to be sort of resistant when the folks that voted against it say, you know, we need a committee, which they are saying, or, you know, we need a pilot. We had a pilot. We've had committees, so that we can just revive something, even if I'm not here anymore, just to be aware that it existed, it was strong, and we need to continue advocating for it in the future.
Judge, thank you so much for coming in and talking with us today, and I hope you'll come back a few more times before you're done in that role.
Of course.
And when you're done in that role, you can come
I was
back
going to say, I'm like, okay, fine.
You're not going anywhere. Harris
you.
County Judge Lina Hidalgo, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank
We went
you,
long. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more Hello Houston.
We know you value Houston Public Media. That's why you're watching right now. So take the next step and become a new member of the station you rely on. Every gift makes a difference. And what matters most right now is supporting the station that brings you the news and information you rely on. It only takes a minute to make a big difference. So join as a new member today at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 800-364-8300.
Delivers essential journalism and programming that informs and unites our community. We extend our gratitude to our innovator supporters. Their generosity fuels our ability to provide free programming for all throughout Southeast Texas and for deepening our audience engagement. John Bradshaw, the Brown Foundation, the estate of Robin Bruce, Michael J. Simo Foundation. Thank you.
On the next Fresh Air, when it comes to the production of drones, electric vehicles, lithium-ion batteries, and solar cells, China is ahead of the U.S. China may also be benefiting from the war in Iran and President Trump's tariffs. Is America's global dominance over? We talk with Evan Osnos about his latest New Yorker article. Join us.
You can listen to Fresh Air coming up tonight. It's on at 8 o'clock.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from Chariot Energy, offering customers electricity plans that match their energy use schedules and lifestyles. All plans come with 100% renewable energy. Details at chariotenergy.com.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from Texas Mutual Insurance Company, a workers' compensation provider committed to helping Texas communities and emphasizing safety. More at texasmutual.com/TexansGetIt.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now, Ernie Manous and Holland Vavra.
What if protecting the Texas coast could also help grow its economy? That's the idea behind a vision that began more than 15 years ago at Rice University's Speed Center, after Hurricane Ike prompted researchers to think differently about coastal resilience. Now that vision is before Congress. A new bill introduced by Representative Randy Weber back in June would create the Lone Star Coastal National Recreation Area across 5 Gulf Coast counties, with a focus on conservation, outdoor recreation, tourism, and economic development, all while preserving local control and private property rights. Here to talk about how this idea developed and what it could mean for the Texas coast is Jim Blackburn, co-director of Rice University's Speed Center and professor of environmental law. Jim, welcome so much.
Well, thank you, Holland.
Yes.
I guess the silliest first question should be explain what SPEED stands for.
Well, excuse me. I would just say the Severe Storm Center. It's Severe Storm Protection, Education, and Evacuation from Disaster Center. I do not claim that I came up with SPEED.
That wasn't yours.
I like Severe Storm Center. So
yeah. Okay. Most people think when a storm hits and we look at what happened and where we can do better and how we can make ourselves safer, the initial thought is just build up walls, block, bring in government fund, and do that. This is a different approach to that kind of.
Yeah, this is a totally different approach, and it's really in keeping with some ideas that came up during this early study period back after Hurricane Ike, where we're trying to look at lessons learned from Ike. And Ike missed us, basically. It came up right the middle of Galveston Bay, but most of the big surge was to the east in relatively undeveloped areas, and didn't cause nearly the damage it would have caused had it gone where it was supposed to go originally, down at San Luis Pass back toward Freeport. And if you don't have huge economic infrastructure, if you don't have a lot of people, you won't have a lot of damage. So that's a concept of resilience that basically says, well, how can we make money but not really develop huge infrastructure? And we got to looking, and the Texas coast has fabulous natural resources, not just oil and gas and things like nature resources. We have probably 10 different ecological systems that surround Houston. It's our best kept secret. And I mean, this is things that I learned as an environmental lawyer representing people and groups that were trying to protect this ecosystem or that ecosystem. And I realized that we have a tremendous abundance that if we were on the West Coast or the East Coast, we would be known for that abundance. But that's not something that we typically have valued. And it has value, and that's really what we were focused on.
So when we talk about development, are you talking about preservation of area, or are you talking about new structural building within these areas that can generate income?
Not so much buildings, and it's already protected areas. We have a lot of wildlife refuges. We have a lot of wildlife management areas. Our private groups have, Scenic Galveston, Galveston Bay Foundation, Matagorda Bay Foundation. They've all set aside a lot of land between the federal government, state government, local government, and these private conservation groups. There's a lot of protected land, but it's not very well accessed. So our people here don't know about these resources, and there's not the guides, there's not the infrastructure, people infrastructure, that can actually help these people understand. I mean, I was lucky. My uncles over in the Beaumont, Port Arthur area taught me about the Texas coast. They taught me how to hunt. They taught me how to fish. I can walk in the marsh without freaking out, things like that.
You got one up on me.
Yeah, me too.
Well, but kayaking the marsh is really the better way to go. But learning how to do these things is why if you moved here from New England or from the Midwest, you have no idea about these things. In fact, I was just talking to a young new student at Rice, and she said she had no idea that the Texas coast had all these wonderful resources. I think most people in Houston don't know about these resources. Also, people around the country don't know about them, and we'll bring people in from all over the country with this Lone Star Coastal National Recreation Area to enjoy these resources. People will come from around the country to see what we have.
It's nice to meet you, Jim. I love Galveston. I am originally from Dallas, but we would come down from Dallas, but now I live here. I remember Ike. This doesn't feel that long ago. And my uncle lived on Point Bolivar during the time. And you just got me thinking again about how people say Point Bolivar, well, it's not there anymore. Is that going to be something that is going to be capitalized on, that area that Ike just took out entirely? And in terms of the conservation, I'm an animal lover to an absolute fault. Like, are animals involved in that as well? Okay.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we have fabulous bird life on the Texas coast. It routinely, one of our coastal Christmas bird counts will be in the running for the top bird count in the United States.
Oh, wow.
Usually we'll have maybe 5 in the top 25, maybe 7 to 10. We have tremendous bird resources. We have alligators. We have we have otters. We have all types of animals. Once you get out with people that know you have to learn how to go into nature, and I think that's what we lack, are the guides to take us into nature. I think the Lone Star Coastal National Recreation Area will begin to bring people into nature in a way that we've never seen before, and I think it will open a whole new dimension to living in Houston and here on the Texas coast.
How is this approach different than the approach of national parks?
Totally different in the sense that we're not talking about taking a bunch of private land and turning it into a national park. Most national parks actually are formed out of federal lands, and we don't have a lot of federal lands like they do in Wyoming or Colorado or Montana. But we have purchased a lot of lands. The federal government has purchased a lot, the state has. And the idea here is to create a partnership between these different entities that already own land and really manage them collectively. Again, as a partnership. It's not the federal government coming in and taking control. This is what's really different. There's not a lot of national recreation areas in the United States, and that's one of the things we did at Rice, is we researched carefully kind of what different ways there were about going about creating park space and particularly creating the user experience. And really what we're looking to do is to create economic activity around that. Restaurants will be filled up with people. We'll have more and more need for motels and hopefully guides that will be hired to take people around. We pay for this in other parts of the country. Ecotourism is huge around the world. It should be huge on the Texas coast, and it's not like it will be.
So make the connection, connect the two ideas for me between after a storm and the damage done and protecting us and making sure the next time the damage isn't as so hard, and this idea of these areas that function like a nature preserve.
Right.
How do they play together?
Well, basically it has to do with, rather than redeveloping, as we understand which are the most hazardous areas, rather than just restoring exactly what was destroyed, perhaps moving back a bit and then using the land that is going to be more subject to inundation, use it for kind of what I would call non-permanent structures. We don't need a lot of buildings to have this economic activity. We don't need to build large structures that get destroyed. We can use the natural resource. You can have headquarters a bit further back from the coast itself, and you go into the coast and enjoy it, but you also can retreat from it. The storm comes, it hits, and it does less damage.
What is, and thank you for bringing that together for me, what is before Congress right now? What are they deciding on?
They're deciding whether to create the concept of the National Recreation Area called the Lone Star Coastal National Recreation Area. There are many national recreation areas. To create a new one requires congressional action. And anything involving the federal government these days is tricky. I mean, Congress is not easy to work through. We've been trying to get this bill introduced. And I must say that there's a group called the Lone Star Coastal Alliance that was formed after we came up with the idea at Speed Center. And Elizabeth Winston Jones has been a real leader of making the Lone Star Coastal Alliance actually a viable entity. J.P. Bryan from Galveston is now the president of that organization, and they have put together a wonderful 5-county partnership where all of the counties are supportive. They basically have gotten the industrial community, the recreational, the chambers of commerce. All of these have come together to come to before Representative Weber and tell him this is a good idea. We'd like to see it. And he has agreed and has now introduced legislation to create this entity.
And this entity has to be approved by Congress, even though it involves private lands, private entities, communities, and their own governance. Why does it need the stamp of approval from the federal government?
Well, because it would be part of the national park system.
So it does fall into
it
the
does
park
fall
system.
under
Okay.
the national park system, and it would be what we're particularly interested in. It would be listed on their website, so people all over the country and actually around the world, when they're looking for destinations, there will be a destination, hopefully on the Texas coast, assuming this gets passed. And then there will be all of these different contractors you can get in touch with to, where are the motels, where are the restaurants, all of those types of things. And that's where the economic activity comes from.
Okay, and I guess another element of this is currently, do you think we do a poor job of marketing what we have as far as nature and wildlife and all of that, that this kind of registry, this kind of acknowledgement would increase the tourism there? Or is it the other way, that to have that recognition encourages outside investors to come in and put in hotels and the restaurants and all of that?
I think it's some of both. Okay. I think typically Houston has not recognized its natural resource kind of abundance. Like I said, if we were on the East Coast or the West Coast, everybody in the country would know about our ecological systems that surround Houston.
I didn't know we had otters. Tell me where they are.
Yes. Well, I mean, you've got, for example, the coastal marshes.
Yes.
You've got the bottomland hardwoods down in Brazoria County. You've got the Trinity wetland system along the Trinity River. That's a wet...
Let me write all of these down so I can go find my otter. Okay.
I will actually send you there's an atlas that was prepared about the ecological resources around Houston that Houston Wilderness put together.
Wow.
But these are things I ran across because I was invited to represent landowners that were trying to defend these resources, different environmental groups that knew about these resources. And again, they're not all that well known. So this is really about bringing these resources to the public. And I think on the other side, there's an organizational side that the National Park Connection will bring that will elevate this, I think, at the national level, if not the international level. So it could be really neat.
Yeah, that's a summation. It can be really neat. The other part for me then is, does this give unique protections then that wards off the development of more refineries or things that we don't want to see there? Does it give some sort of protections too?
No, it doesn't really interfere at all with any of the industrial activity on private property. What it does do is it basically helps us utilize more efficiently the lands that are already set aside. So it will, and that was a real concern with, would this interfere with development? And the answer is no. I mean, on the other hand, I think we're seeing a new reality about understanding these storms. I think there's infrastructure being built on the coast, but it's being done much more carefully and a bit differently than it was in the past. We're getting a bit smarter. I would hope we could get a lot smarter, but I think it's also interesting that at Rice we come up with a research project that you can call really neat.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not always just algorithms and equations and things like that. What we're trying to do at Speed Center particularly is bring people into the equation of resilience and beginning to come up with ideas that can last into all the way through the 21st century.
Jim, always fascinating to have you here and to chat about these things. Thank you for your work on this. It's been a long time coming.
Oh, no, it's been a long time coming. And I just want to say, a lot of these ideas we're working on, we're used to things happening so fast, and these things take time.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about changing perceptions and changing approaches, and that's never easy. But if we stick with it, we can really do some neat stuff.
That's something to look forward to.
Thank you, Holland. Thank you, Ernie.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jim Blackburn is the co-director of Rice University's Speed Center and professor of environmental law. And as always, thank you for joining us. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to speak about real estate with Noel Collier. So don't go anywhere.
It's not just your car. It's the one that brought your kids home from school, took you cross country, held memories, laughter, even a few breakdowns. When it's time to let go, give your car a new purpose. Donate it and turn memories into meaningful support for this station. Plus, you'll enjoy free and easy pickup, potential tax benefits, and a simple donation process. Your gift supports the programs you and your family love. Donate today and help keep public media strong. Call or donate online.
Next chapter is waiting.
On HPM Plus.
This week on This American Life. Imagine if that's how you felt about your job and that this guy was your boss.
Today I don't feel like riding any rides.
This, by the way, is a staff meeting.
I just want to play all the games.
We go behind the scenes at an amusement park and meet the guy singing this song who is possibly better suited for his job than anyone I have ever met. This week.
You can hear This American Life coming up tonight at 10.
Israeli settlers are attacking Palestinians in the occupied West Bank at a record pace, according to the UN. But for thousands of Palestinians, their only income source is working for Israelis.
There is no minimum wage, no social insurance, medical insurance, and other social benefits.
That story on All Things Considered from NPR News.
It starts today at 3.
Houston Public Media, in partnership with Texas Southern University, brings to you The Vibe. R&B, hip-hop, and neo-soul. Music that resonates with all ages. The Vibe on 88.7 HD3 and on the Houston Public Media app.
Tonight on Houston Public Media TV8, the Summer of Space continues as NOVA looks at the Artemis mission on return to the moon at 8:30, followed by an encore of Once Upon a Time in Space at 10. Tonight on TV8.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now, Ernie Manous and Holland Vavra.
Most home buyers are looking for the right neighborhood, enough bedrooms, and a good school district. But what if your dream home needs to fit dozens of llamas, a Boeing 727, or even come with a haunted past? Houston real estate expert Noel Collier, star of HGTV's new series Extreme Buyers Club, takes on the challenge of buyers with some truly unconventional wish lists. Noel Collier is here to talk about the new series, the wildest requests she's encountered, and what makes these unusual properties so appealing. Noel, thank you, and welcome to Hello Houston.
Thank you. I feel like we need some hand claps in here, like sound bombs. Welcome, Noel Collier. Thank you very much.
Welcome. Not that long ago, I decided I was going to buy. I'd been renting my whole time, and I wanted to buy. And then I went out and I looked, and I had realtors show me around, and it was like everything looked the same.
Yes.
Square boxes,
Yes.
more and more square boxes, low ceilings. And I was like, where do I go to find the odd places? The things we have, an old church that's been converted. Those are the kind of things that would have spoken to me.
Yes.
I'm lazy. I ended up staying where I was renting, and I just bought it so I didn't have to pack and move. And it had the high ceilings I wanted, so I was happy.
Yes.
But when you're starting out to look for something, and then we'll get into all the weird stuff you've had to do and find. But what do you recommend to people who are tired of the cookie cutter homes?
Yes. So for the people that are tired of the cookie cutter homes, I would say not to look in the suburbs, because unfortunately that's where the cookie cutter homes live.
Yeah.
Now, inner city, if you're looking at Edo or the Heights or, there's so many other places, Medical Center, those are not cookie cutter homes. You can drive through any of those places, Rice Military, you just see very different red doors, blue doors, purple doors. Episode last night, there was a purple door, right?
Yeah.
We can get away with that downtown. Unfortunately, in the suburbs, it's going to be very cookie cutter. But what's most important is to get some skin in the game. Home ownership. Your first home, it may be a cookie cutter home. But when you sell it and you walk away with $100,000 in your pocket, now you can go and buy your unique or extreme home.
Is there a market more so today for that strange and unique home, or do most people just want their McMansion that looks like every other McMansion?
I think that it is both, in all honesty, right? I think that there are just certain people that don't want to do what everyone else is doing. They don't want to move to the suburbs. They don't want, a 3,000 square foot home on a 10,000 square foot lot, and they have to get permission from HOA, right, in order to breathe. There are people that want land and space, and they want to be able to live the way that they want to live in a mobile home with last night was a homesteader. They were homesteading. So we bought land. They have a camper now on their property. They grow all kinds of things. They have a farmer's market that they do once a month at their home. Yeah. And so you think these people can live in an HOA community? Absolutely not.
I had chickens, and I live in the suburbs, and we didn't ask.
Oh.
We've had lots of chickens. Yeah. They're all gone now, but we definitely had some illegal chickens over in Pearland.
Exactly.
Yeah, but eggs.
Okay, we're going to get into all the TV stuff.
Yes.
Just one more weird question. Right now, on the market in Houston, what's the weirdest property you know that's out there right now?
Right now on the market in Houston. Ernie, there are so many. There is just
Why couldn't I find those weird properties?
Because you weren't looking for llamas.
You were looking. Oh, the show is wild.
So let's talk about the show.
Yes, the show is wild because I feel like there are two parts to me. Me personally, my character or the type of woman that I am, I'm kind of like down for anything within reason, right? So if you want a house that is built like a shoe, because you want to be the old lady in a shoe? Well, Ernie, let's go find a house.
Why did you pick me as an old lady in a shoe? I'm just curious, but we'll let that go. Well, then, okay, you bring that up. I'm going to ask you, have you always been as fabulous as you are right now, or is this TV you?
This is me, friend.
Yes.
This is
really?
who I am. Now,
I knew it the minute you came in.
I have had a glow up. Now, I'm not like you, Holland. I'm not a pageant girl, a former pageant girl. I wish that I were. But I looked at some old pictures when I was like 13, 14. I had like white eyeliner. The whole white eyeliner.
Doing too much light powder under the
eyes.
eyes.
But my grandmother, I would say, and she 2 years since she's passed as of the day before yesterday, but she is the reason. Like, my grandmother was so fabulous. She was 81 when she passed away, and she passed away in high heels. Oh. Literally. Like, she was just an all-around fly girl. So she made me that way.
That should be a new standard.
As this fly girl, of course you would attract television attention. HGTV has your new series, Extreme Buyers Club.
Yeah.
And it just must be kind of pinch me kind of moment.
Oh, man.
But also, do you have time to actually be doing your day job as a realtor when you're also shooting a TV show?
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah. Okay.
I better. Listen, something has to pay the bills, right? We're season 1, y'all. Season 1, I am broke-a. Not broke. I'm bougie broke. I'm broke-a. Yes. It is just it takes a lot of time, though. I'll be honest with you guys. It was a lot of sweat equity and a lot of literal sweat as well. We're filming in the Texas heat. You guys don't get to see on the show, but thank God for my cameras. My DP, shout out Letty, because you cannot see my sweat at all. Thank you, Letty. But my wig every now and again does slide back. Y'all act like you don't see it. The heat was doing a number. It's like super, super hot. But it was a challenge. But I have a team, right? My team is incredible. They kept the business moving forward while I was away filming for 5 months, and we closed probably record numbers of business during the filming. So maybe I need to step away more.
Yeah. That was
maybe
the answer.
Maybe that's the answer. Yeah, go film more. Come on, keep watching so we can make it to season 2. That's what I need to happen. Yes.
Well, was this program your idea, or did they have an idea for this type of show and they were looking for the right realtor to host it?
I love that you think that much of me, Ernie. It's like, was this your idea? Yeah. No, it was totally not my idea. Y'all, these people found me on a hashtag on Instagram.
Really?
Yes, it was Jesus.
Wow.
I'm telling you, like it was so random. And I honestly, I had some motion, if you will, like my daughter says, "Mommy, you have a little motion." Okay, girl. So I had some things going, right? I had some articles that were out. The publicist that I was working with at the time did a beautiful job really positioning me.
Simply the fact she had a publicist tells you something was going on there.
Well, my undergrad, and no shade against the Cougs, but I did graduate from the Texas Southern University. Shout out to the Tigers.
We like them.
Neighbors.
Literally cat corner here. And so my undergrad is in marketing. And so
you knew what you were doing.
Exactly. Yeah. So my intern, and when I was graduating, or in my marketing program, was I interned for it's an urban magazine called Rolling Out Magazine. They're still around. But they had a Houston location that I interned for. And so I knew a lot about the publicist world from that, right? And it just kind of all came back full circle. So had a publicist, hashtag was Houston Real Estate Agent. That's how they found me. It was a completely different concept before, you guys. And it was shopped to, the other concepts were shopped to other networks that started off with 12 agents, went to another network. It was like 6 or 7 of us. And then ultimately HGTV said, hey, they're all good, but we're interested in working with Noel.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Yeah, and they developed the show around me.
So many people who are real estate are going to be putting hashtag something or other
right in
so
this
that
very
HGTV can find them as well, because this is a Cinderella story. I mean, obviously.
It is, really, but you have to, it's a good lesson to be positioned, right? You have to be positioned for the opportunity. When the opportunity comes knocking on your door, are you ready, right? Because 10 years ago, I wasn't ready. And if this opportunity would have come about, I would have blew it. Seriously, I know it. I know where I was 10 years ago. I would have blew it.
I'm guessing, they probably could have found a show for you even 10 years ago. We had some questions come in from our YouTubers, and we call them YouTubers because hello, Houston. First one is, what's the number one tip you could give to a seller right now?
Be patient. Number one tip, be patient and reduce your price. Your home is worth what someone is willing to pay for it. It's a tough market for sellers.
Yeah.
It is very tough.
My partner has a property on the market right now, and it's been sitting for a while, and he just keeps dropping it, but he doesn't know what to do. And it's like, it's the environment
market
right now.
Yeah. Full transparency. I'm a listing agent as well. I have multiple properties that are just sitting, and we're taking the same approach. We're doing everything that we can, to spending way more than what we normally spend in marketing and advertising to get the properties moved. And it just takes time.
Have you seen more ebb and flow recently, or is it just kind of stagnant?
Well, actually, we just seen a little increase. So home purchases, home purchases have gone up. The increase, Zillow just published an article. I want to say it was an increase this past month of 27%. So that's a big jump. So what that means is that buyers are now entering into the market. But I'm going to tell you, for buyers, if you're renting, buy now.
Yeah, it's a good time.
We are having our way. We're getting buyers in homes with no money out of pocket. Seriously.
Oh, wow.
Easy.
Yeah.
Yes. Like no pushback.
Had another comment came in. Trish wants to know, my dream home can be anything as long as it has an arboretum.
That is going to be found a lot on the southwest side, actually.
She's got it for you, Trish.
How quick?
Yeah, so a lot of that you'll find in because those are established communities. Those homes were built in the 70s and the 80s. Actually, the second episode, which was the episode with the mermaid, we showed a home in the College Station area that has one. I don't know how to say that word, so I won't repeat it, but I know what she said.
I always stumble that word too, so when I saw it came in, I thought, I'm going to try it.
You did good, right. You did good.
You sold a home to a mermaid. Does a mermaid want a big tank in their living room they can swim around in, or is it just an outdoor pool they needed?
There was a part on the show that you guys didn't get, that they didn't edit that part in, but we discussed pulling the tank inside of the property.
Oh, my
goodness. So
Okay.
there was a flex space, and I said, hey, we can actually blow this wall out and make it a pulley style garage door for you guys to slide the tank in and out. They really need that though, because she has to practice rain, sleet, or snow. If someone hires her for a performance, she has to be able to perform.
So it's her livelihood. I thought maybe someone just wanted to pretend they were a mermaid.
Oh no, these mermaids are big business.
My goodness.
These days.
Mermaids
well,
are big
there's something
business.
I need to look into later. Okay.
Yes, you do. And just like so funny though, my 8-year-old, so I have 3 children. So I have a 25-year-old. I know. Doesn't take much to make them. I have a 16-year-old. That's my rock star volleyball player. She's 6 foot tall. She's so beautiful. My only girl. And then my baby boy is 8, and he is mini me. He looks exactly like me and has my personality. So he's a handful. He makes a cameo on the show.
Oh,
yeah,
good,
so
good.
he does.
In today's day and age, I don't know when people watch TV. It's always there somewhere.
Yeah.
What is the broadcast time for it? Do you have a broadcast on it, or when is it?
It is, so new episodes drop every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Okay, so the new ones come out on Tuesday nights, but in today's day and age, you can always watch the episodes.
Because I'll be honest, we were at my daughter's volleyball game last night, and so I was watching
Oh,
from my phone, walking out of the gym, like, come on, my
Because
show's
that's what
on.
we do now. Watch
Absolutely
on our
out
phone.
of time, but my very quick one word, and what's the weirdest thing you've been asked so far to find?
A painting. You gotta keep watching.
Keep watching to find out. Noel Collier, thank you so much. Please come back anytime.
Absolutely.
It's a joy having you here. She's a real estate expert and just happens to be the star of the new HGTV show, Extreme Buyers Club. And you can catch it. New episodes drop on Tuesday nights or anytime wherever you stream your programming. And that brings us to the end of the show. Holland, thank you so much.
Thank you
I barely
so
have any
much.
time to say thank you. Come back anytime.
I'm not
You
leaving.
too.
I told you that.
She's not leaving. Well, I hope you come back tomorrow. We'll be back 11 a.m. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for listening to Hello Houston. Join us every Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. to talk all things Houston. The Hello Houston production team includes Garrett Bowman, William Menivar, Laura Walker, Jen Altide, Todd Holslander, Jayla Rhodes, Mark DeClaudio, Tom Carter, and Jim Kovacic. For the latest in local news, subscribe to the Hello Houston daily newsletter at HoustonPublicMedia.org. Hello Houston is a production of Houston Public Media. The opinions expressed by the guests of this program are solely their own and do not represent the views of management, staff, or underwriters of Houston Public Media.
Support comes from Miller Outdoor Theater, presenting Houston native Jason Hainsworth and the rising artists of New Jazz Underground, produced by DeCamera.